All right, boys and girls, today we're going to start with our lesson essential question. How do the words and phrases in a poem supply meaning? So, what are some of the words in our lesson essential question that you need to understand in order to help you with today's lesson?
Supply.
Supply. What does the word supply mean?
I don't know.
You're not sure. So what could you do if you're not sure?
Ask a friend.
Ask a friend. What friend would you like to ask today?
Colin.
Colin, what do you know about the word supply?
I think the word supply means like to give, because in games I play, other people supply your character with things you might need to continue in the game.
Wow. This lesson is about 5 or 6 lessons into a poetry unit that we've started. The first few lessons in this unit ask students to look at the structure of poetry, so looking for the stanzas and the lines, the repeated phrases, also the characteristics of poetry. What is poetry? Our first activity is going to be a table talk. I'm going to give you an illustration. At your table, I would like you to look at this illustration and think about any words or phrases that come to your mind when you see the illustration.
Winter. And then nighttime. That was winter. Snow. And nighttime. Winter, snow, nighttime are all good ones. No, snowy trees.
So everybody had a different illustration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the picture up on the Elmo so that everybody can see it. And I'm going to ask the table leader to just tell us some of the phrases and words that your table talked about. Tell us what your group said.
Color, sun, light, sunset, Hawaii, sand, cheese, beach, summer, hat, and birds.
So what would your one word be to describe this illustration?
The beach.
The beach. All right, another word that might help us describe this illustration. What's another word that might help us? Grace?
Summer.
Summer. So far we have winter and we have
Summer.
summer. I'm starting to find a pattern here. Thank you. Table 2, Liam Leader, come on up, buddy. The Common Core, although the shifts are moving students into reading more informational texts, there is still a place for poetry in the Common Core. It's listed in all the grades. So let's see, we looked at these illustrations and we saw some pictures that made us start to think of some seasons. Summer, spring, winter, and fall. What we're going to do today is we are going to read a seasonal poem. A poem that has to do with the seasons. So our brains are ready for this. But guess what I did? I covered the title and I covered some repeated lines in this poem. So we have to use the information within the poem to help us figure out what the title and what those repeated lines might be. So we're going to read this poem one time together, and I want you to simply think about, what is this poem mostly about? And what might the title be? Remember, I always ask you to prove it. So I'm looking for details from the text to support your answer. Awesome. Let's read the text together. I have some lines missing. It was time to go. Though the fields lay golden, something whispered snow. I would like you to tell your partner, what do you think this poem is about and why?
It's about someone going on a plane somewhere. The title might be Here Comes Winter. Here comes winter, goodbye summer, or something. I'm not really sure.
So I had a really great conversation with Table 2. We were going back and forth between 2 different seasons. One of my friends started to say, I think this might be about fall because it talks about berries and it talks about an orchard. And then another friend said, but I disagree. I think it's about winter. I see the word snow and ice. What did you guys talk about with your table partners? Let's hear from some of you.
I think this poem's mostly about winter because, can I come up?
Well, just tell me and I'll highlight it for you.
The something couldn't
Something cautioned
frost.
Oh, so what does that make you think of?
Like snow and a lot of, like, when I think of frost, I think of cold.
So what season do you think that this poem is about?
Winter.
Does anyone disagree?
I think I'm kind of in the middle of both of them.
Okay.
Because it's like a neutral poem. It's like about half fall or autumn and then half winter.
So what in this text makes you think autumn or fall?
It says like orchards and and amber spice. When they say spice, it makes me think of like cooking. And my mom always says fall is cooking season.
Oh, wow. So you're making a connection here. If you were the poet, what title might you give this text based on what we just read?
Winter and autumn.
Winter and autumn. Why do you say that?
Because the whole, like, there's two parts. There's winter. One part's about winter and one part is about autumn.
I think it could be seasons
Oh, why?
because there's two different seasons.
Oh,
that
so if
they're
we use the
talking
word
about.
seasons, we're kind of covering a couple seasons here. Thank you. I think today's poem pushed my students a little further than they're used to going. It made them think about the text in a different way. Poetry is a little difficult because there's a lot of meaning behind one or two words in a poem. Something whispered snow. Something's whispering snow. Why might something whisper snow? I'm trying to dig a little deeper here. What's going on in this text?
Wind's coming. Snow's coming. So the wind's getting ready for the snow.
Oh, have you ever felt that, Mackenzie? When you're outside in the autumn and all of a sudden you feel this chill. Let's go on to stanza 2. Let's look closely at stanza 2. Leaves were green and stirring. Wait a minute, I thought the fields were golden. Leaves were green and stirring. When are leaves green? And when are they stirring? Clyde, when do you think leaves are green and when are they stirring?
Leaves are green, like in the spring.
In the spring and in summer. What about this word were? They were green and stirring. What does that tell you as a reader?
That they used to be green and stirring.
Oh, aha, a clue. They used to be green. That word were is telling us that they used to be green. So they're no longer green. With the Common Core standards, they're asking students to read texts that are a little bit more difficult than they're used to. There's a lot of language and there's a lot of word choice and some vocabulary words that they might not be familiar with. So I wanted to expose them to something that was a little bit different than what they might choose in their own reading when they go to the library. I've created a foldable for you to use. And what you're going to do is you're going to use this foldable to help you. You are going to start with the first flap. It says stanza 3, line 1. So you know where to look. Inside are some guiding questions that I want you to talk through with your partner and see if you can start to determine how these words and phrases are giving you meaning.
What would it be time to fly? No. Why would it be time to fly? Because the birds, wind's coming. No, winter's coming, and they're gonna be cold.
So, we're thinking about ice. We're remembering it. And do you think these birds are going to do now that they are remembering when it was icy and when it was cold? What might a bird do as they remember the ice? They have to do something. What do you think they're thinking? Michael, what do you think they might be thinking about when they remember this ice?
Their wings, words, winter, there's like all the snow and there's ice blowing and their wings will be frozen, they can't fly.
So do you think that they want to stay around when it's icy and snowy and cold?
No,
No, so what might those birds choose to do?
this warm.
They want to be warm. They might want to be warm, so what do you think that these birds will do to stay warm? I know they're going to put on their coats. Well, what are they going to do? Elijah, what do you think these birds might do?
They'll probably make a birdhouse so they can stay warm.
Maybe they will make a house for themselves to stay warm. What else might these birds do? Because, birds are different than humans. They have to do different things to stay alive and to survive. Juliana, what might they do?
They might fly to a warmer place.
Those birds are pretty smart. If they want to fly to a warmer place, where would they fly?
Maybe Florida?
Maybe Florida. I had a group at the back table working with me a little closer because they needed some support, some more teacher guidance, some more prompting from the teacher to help them understand what the words and phrases meant. In this final stanza, stanza 4, the poet is telling us something here. What do you think the poet's saying now that these birds stiffened, remembering the ice?
They might have stiffened because they were scared of winter, and I know what they had to do to protect themselves.
What did they have to do?
They need to migrate.
How do you know that? What in the text is telling you that they need to migrate?
It was time to fly.
So what we're going to do is our final activity, because this was a lot of thinking you did. You looked at this text very closely. I want you to tell me what you think this poem is all about, in your own words. But I would like you to use details from the text. The Common Core asks students to really depend on the text. When they have an answer, it's coming from the text. They need to use the support that they've been given by the author, or the poet in this case. And so I wanted students to have a chance to explain what they thought the poem was about using the information from the text. I really want to reveal the title. So any final guesses? Now that we have read this text closely, what might this text be titled?
Seasons change to different seasons. Like
Seasons.
seasons change to seasons.
Okay, seasons
Like
change to
summer change to winter and winter.
Now, I have a question for you. Is the poet going to write all that as a title? So how could we say that like a poet would?
Seasons?
Seasons. Okay, I like that. Just seasons. Any other ideas? Riley, what do you think the title might be for this text and why?
I think it might be winter. Title is How a Bird Migrates.
How birds migrate. Why do you say that?
Because in the text it says, it was time to fly. Summer's sun was on their wings, winter in their cry.
Oh, so you're thinking about those birds, how they knew it was time to go. And they were kind of crying. Were they really crying?
No,
What do you think that means, that line?
like they're sad in the winter, and so they had to fly to somewhere where it was hotter.
Okay, let's take a look. I like that idea. I like all of your ideas. You guys were really thinking about the text. I am going to tap the text and we're going to find out what it is. You guys all ready to read it with me?
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Something told the wild geese. What do you think, Clyde?
I think something I told the wild geese was the weather.
It's also very important that students understand that you may have to read something more than one time. Close reading is a very important skill. We need to teach students that It's okay to go back and read a text 3, 4, 5 times. Students often skim texts. If something's too hard, they just keep going. But then they're not making meaning from what they're reading. And we don't want students to give up. We want to give them the tools and the strategies necessary to truly attack the text, understand it, and make meaning from it. You guys did a really nice job today. Thank you so much. We're going to wrap up and move on to math.